I think it was a week ago, right? When it was the week before this incident happened. And Kim is like, you guys need to come down here. And Isaiah's acting crazy. We go down there and we walk in the house. And as soon as we get in the house, he's like, he has this big bag of weed that you could tell that he got from like the dispenser or whatnot. Mm-hmm. It's big. On my eyes, it was about this big.
Yeah.
What the are you doing here? Like, this is what you kicked me out the house for, right? I was like, yeah. He says, what the are you doing here? This has nothing to do with you. And I was like, listen here, man. Your aunt was scared because you're wilding out up in here. So then I'm looking at him, and he was like, say I'm lying. Say I am. He's got a butcher knife like this, and he's just like, but he's like crying. Say I am. And say this, if he had got me, it would have been all of us, So I just said, I'll leave. Where did I mess up? As a father, did I do something wrong? Like, what did I do? Because this is not like you. And he was just like, you're the best dad ever, man. I couldn't ask for a dad, man, better than you, man. It's kind of like, you did everything right. You're a great dad, man. And then Kim's like, busts out crying. And then he's just like, get the out of here, motherfucker, before I kill you.
Naturally.
He's got the knife with him?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's my husband.
Okay.
That's our oldest son.
Okay, what's his issue? Like, do you guys want to just stay out here? I know he's your son, but we just don't know what the situation is, right? Isaiah, do you have a knife on you? Do you want to go down to the ground just to verify, man? Hey, Isaiah, we're gonna put you in cuffs, but it's just for our safety, okay? You're not under arrest. We just want to make sure you're okay? You want to go down to your knees, man? Jeff, could put your hands behind your back, man. Can you put your hands behind your back? Again, you're not under arrest, okay? Just doing this for your safety.
This is recording?
Yeah, you're being recorded on the camera right here. So,
is it supposed to be red when it's recording?
Yep. See how it's blinking red?
It's weak. Just having a rough time. Yeah. But it's all good, bro. I'm bouncing back, bro. I'm going to shake back. Yeah, but it's all good, bro. I'm gonna shake back again.
Yeah.
And again. And again.
Do you want to go to the hospital or anything like that?
And again, huh?
Do you want to go to the hospital or anything like that?
Nah, bro. It's good. Like, I'm good.
So what was the deal with the knife?
I got a swisher in there. It's a blunt, basically, and I use a knife and I split it.
Okay.
To take out the tobacco to put my weed in.
Okay.
At first.
Okay.
But then me and my aunt started arguing and that knife was on the table, so.
And you just had it already?
It was already there. And we started arguing. I wanted to leave, but it's not that big of a deal. I was a good person, bro.
No one said you're not a good person. I've never met you.
I'm just saying, bro, like.
And what happened?
I just lied, bro.
Clearly.
It's hard to kind of start this off, but as far as it would have been your father, right?
Yes. So I find out that they find my dad buried in the back of his shop. I already knew. I told them, why are you letting that motherfucker stay at my dad's house? You know he's gonna kill him.
So I know you have questions for me, and then obviously I have questions for you, and I think they're both geared around the same.
When I got there, bro, it was weird. Weird. And I'm like, man, something's not right. So I left, and that's when I told her and explained it to her. I even knew something was wrong before you had this episode. I said, something's not right with this kid.
Richard Andrews was 75 years old. He let his grandson move in because the kid was struggling. No job, no direction, football career behind him, clearly not doing well. Richard opened his door anyway. That decision cost him everything. Within weeks, his grandson would take his life. Within hours of that, his own family would be standing over his grave in the front yard of his shop, screaming at each other in front of police, while one of them, his own daughter, was telling officers to arrest her son before anyone had even found the body. She already knew. The question this case never fully answers is exactly how much she knew and when. But what it does answer, painfully, clearly, is what happens when a family watches someone they love unravel, keeps hoping it won't go that far, and runs out of time. Moses Lake, Washington. A small, quiet city in the middle of the state. The kind of place where people know each other and word travels fast. Richard Andrews owned a house on Dale Avenue and a repair shop a couple of miles away in Cascade Valley. He was old school, self-sufficient, came and went on his own schedule, sometimes disappearing to property he owned in Colville for weeks at a time. His family was used to his absences. What they were not used to was his wallet sitting on the counter, his phone beside it, his dog still in the house. Richard never left without those things. His grandson Isaiah had been living with him, 27 years old, former wide receiver for Eastern Oregon University. By November 2024, the football was long gone, and whatever had taken its place wasn't working. The family had noticed. They'd been worried. They just hadn't done enough about it. The morning of November 3rd starts with a stolen vehicle report. Officers flag a gray Chevy Silverado in downtown Moses Lake. Multiple units respond, more than you'd typically send for a routine truck theft. They find the vehicle parked and pull it over. Inside is Isaiah Thomas. He's disoriented, barely tracking. He asks for a lawyer before anyone has told him what he's being stopped for. One of the responding officers, Alvarado, went to high school with Isaiah. He remembers him as a standout player, athletic, focused, someone with a future in the game. What he's looking at now doesn't match that memory at all. The truck turns out not to be stolen. It's registered to Richard Andrews. Isaiah had been borrowing his grandfather's vehicle. Isaiah's mother, Cassie, confirms it on a quick phone call, and just like that, there's no crime. Alvarado pulls Isaiah aside before letting him go, cuts his camera, and asks him straight, "You all right, man?" Isaiah doesn't really answer, just says it's a hard time, says he'll bounce back. Alvarado watches him drive away. 20 minutes later, a woman calls the department to report her father missing. His name is Richard Andrews. His address is 430 Dale Avenue, the same address the truck came from. Officers arrive at the house on Dale to find 3 of Richard's daughters already there, Kelly, Carmen, and Cassie. Kelly filed the report. She's frightened. Carmen is upset. Cassie is calm, noticeably calm. Then Isaiah steps out of the house. For the second time that day, he's standing in front of Sergeant Rodriguez, who starts working through the basics. When did you last see him? Friday afternoon. He was outside talking to someone, then gone. Did that seem strange to you? Isaiah's answer is immediate. He'd be gone for weeks. Why are you tripping? Rodriguez takes note. Kelly is scared. Isaiah is casual. And sitting on the counter is Richard's wallet, the one thing Isaiah himself admits doesn't fit. The only thing that's weird is that he left his wallet here. He says it like a footnote, like it barely matters. Before Rodriguez can press further, Anthony, Isaiah's father, arrives and mentions something that's been bothering him about Richard's shop down in Cascade Valley. Tire tracks going into the grass, debris that looked burned. He can't fully articulate it, just says something's off down there. Rodriguez sends officers to the shop. Anthony leads the way, and as the first deputy pulls up to the property, the family is already there ahead of him, clustered near the front yard, staring at the ground. Richard's daughter Kim sees it first, a patch of disturbed earth, a leg, his jeans, the same ones he always wore. She knows, immediately. By the time Rodriguez arrives, the scene has collapsed into chaos. Family members are digging with their hands. Someone is wailing, someone is pointing and shouting. The deputy on scene is overwhelmed, trying to pull people back from what is now, without question, a crime scene. Rodriguez tries to take control. If you want justice, Kim cuts him off. I already know who did it, no hesitation. She names her nephew Isaiah, tells officers the gun is probably on the bed at the house, and demands someone go get him, right now. While officers work to clear the family back, investigators get their first real look at what's in front of them. The grave wasn't rushed. The section of lawn had been carefully cut away, the body placed inside, the earth packed back down, the grass watered to make the yard look untouched. Burned debris scattered at the edges. Something deliberately destroyed. And the tarp wrapped around Richard's body is brown and gray, a detail that will matter shortly because it belongs to Greg, Richard's son-in-law, who lives directly across the street. Whether Greg is involved or his tarp was taken without his knowledge, is a question that stays open longer than anyone is comfortable with. Inside the shop, the shower has recently been used. No signs of a struggle anywhere inside, meaning this is where the killer cleaned up, not where Richard died. The house on Dale is where Richard died. When detectives finally enter the house, bleach hits them before they've cleared the doorway. Every surface wiped down. Whoever did this had taken their time. But time isn't the same as thoroughness. Officers find blood on the back door handle. In the living room, a knife still in its sheath, red staining visible along the blade. Not everything got cleaned. It rarely does. Back at the shop, Anthony has turned around. He's seen his father-in-law in the ground, and he's not heading back to ask questions. Dispatch catches the transmission. Father heading to 430 Dale. Possible suspect is there. Might not be good. Units race to the house. They make it there seconds ahead of Anthony, who arrives with the rest of the family right behind him. Isaiah is outside. Anthony gets as close as officers will allow. Did you do it? Silence. Look at me. Did you do it? Nothing. You're my firstborn. Did you do it? Officers move Isaiah to a patrol car. He's not under arrest. There's still no direct physical evidence placing him at the murder. But they need him separated from his father before this becomes something else entirely. The family stands and watches. Some of them are crying, some of them are not. And off to the side, watching her son be put into the back of a police vehicle, is Cassie, the same woman who, before the body was even found, walked up to Sergeant Rodriguez and told him to put her son in handcuffs. Nobody in that department has stopped thinking about that. Isaiah is transported to the Grant County Jail on probable cause. Detectives begin processing the house, bagging the knife, pulling swabs from the door handle, cataloging everything. When officers take Isaiah's shoes and sweatshirt at the jail, they notice the shoes are caked in dirt, possibly dried blood. It's not conclusive, but it's something. The day ends with Richard Andrews dead, a family fractured beyond recognition, and a case held together mostly by circumstantial details and the certainty of people who were there, but won't say exactly how they know what they know. Before investigators leave the house that night, they overhear something passing between family members. A suggestion, spoken carefully, in pieces. The implication that this may not be the first time Isaiah has done something like this. That there might be an older case, an unsolved one, and that his parents may have known about that too. It's unconfirmed. It may be nothing more than grief and rage talking, but it's the kind of thing, once said out loud, that you can't ignore. Detectives go home. The case is 12 hours old, and it's already more layered than anyone on that scene was prepared for. Love to Death channel The Richard Andrews Case, Batch 2. The morning after brings a different kind of pressure. Detectives have spent the night pulling at the edges of this family, their history, their dynamics, the things they said on camera, and the things they almost said. What's emerging isn't a clean picture of one guilty person. It's something messier, a family with years of unaddressed crisis underneath it, and a murder sitting on top of all of it like a lid on a pressure cooker. The formal interviews begin. Anthony comes in first. He's Isaiah's father. He was the one charging toward the house the night before, the one who looked his son in the face and asked 3 times if he did it. Detectives need to understand what drove that certainty, whether it was instinct or something more. What Anthony describes takes them back 1 week before the murder. His sister-in-law Kim had called, said Isaiah was losing it at her house. Anthony and Cassie drove over. The moment they walked through the door, Isaiah was at the kitchen table. A large bag of marijuana in front of him, a butcher knife in his hand, and tears running down his face. When Isaiah saw his father, everything shifted. "What the hell are you doing here? This has nothing to do with you." Anthony stepped between Isaiah and Cassie, told her to leave and call the sheriff. And as she walked out, Isaiah looked at his father and said, knife still in hand, that if Anthony had pushed him, it would have been all of them. Then, in the same breath, he told his father he was the best dad he'd ever had. Anthony sits in that interview room and asks quietly where he went wrong. Detectives don't have an answer for him. What they do have is confirmation. Police were called to Kim's house that night. There's body cam footage. And when they review it, it becomes very clear why this family didn't hesitate to point at Isaiah the moment Richard's body was found. The footage shows Isaiah outside the house, officers trying to calm him down, the family watching from a distance. When officers finally pull him aside, he's not aggressive. He's broken, crying, telling them he's been going through a lot. That this past week had been rough. That he'd had thoughts of hurting himself. Not today, he said, but recently. An officer asks if he wants to go to the hospital. Nah, bro, I'm good. I'm going to shake back. They let him go home. 1 week later, Richard Andrews was dead. Anthony's account gives detectives the framework they've been missing. Isaiah's spiral hadn't started that Sunday. It had been building for over a year, and the people closest to him had watched it happen in real time. According to Anthony, 2 things had been eating at Isaiah since his football career ended: heavy, sustained marijuana use and the cumulative physical damage from years of playing wide receiver. Repeated head trauma. The kind of hits that don't show up on a scan, but change a person slowly, from the inside out. Isaiah had gone from a disciplined college athlete to someone who couldn't hold a conversation, couldn't keep a job, couldn't stay grounded in reality for any reliable stretch of time. The family had tried. They'd confronted him. They'd called police. They'd hoped the next week would be better. It wasn't. Kim is interviewed next. She's Richard's daughter, the one who found the body, the one who named Isaiah, before the grave was even fully uncovered. She doesn't walk any of that back. She tells detectives about a pattern going back further than the incident at her house. Isaiah pulling weapons on family members, episodes of paranoia that came out of nowhere, behavior that had steadily crossed lines no one knew how to enforce. She mentions his shoes the day the body was found, covered in dirt. She says that was unusual for him. He'd never been someone who walked around like that. She ends her interview the same way she started. If Isaiah is ever released, she believes he will do it again. The interview that complicates everything comes from Chrissy, another of Richard's daughters, and her partner Floyd. Unlike the rest of the family, these 2 aren't just angry at Isaiah. They're angry at Cassie. Chrissy had seen something was wrong before the murder. She'd told people. She'd warned her sisters that Isaiah was deteriorating and that leaving him in that house with their elderly father was a mistake. Nobody moved fast enough. Floyd goes further. He lays out, methodically, why he doesn't believe Isaiah acted alone in the cover-up, not because of any evidence that someone helped him kill Richard, but because of capability. Floyd's argument is simple. Isaiah, in the state he was in, could not have pulled off what was done to that yard: cutting the sod, replacing it, watering it, transporting the body, retrieving the tarp from, across the street, cleaning the house with bleach, using the shower, driving the truck back. He's sporadic. He's not cleaning. He's trying to run. Floyd's point is that the scene was too methodical for someone in a psychotic state acting entirely alone. And the one person who had both the composure and the proximity to help, the one person who'd been calm all day, who'd answered questions that weren't directed at her, who'd told police to arrest her own son before the body was found, was Cassie. He stops short of accusing her directly, but the implication doesn't need spelling out. At the end of this conversation, if she's not arrested, I don't know what to tell you. Cassie comes in last. She's composed, emotional in the right moments, and careful with her words in a way that reads either as grief or as someone who has had time to decide what to say. Detectives let her talk. They ask about Isaiah's mental health, his history, the incident at Kim's house. She answers everything. She cries. She talks about watching her son fall apart over the past year and feeling helpless to stop it. For a long stretch of the interview, there's nothing that stands out. Then detectives pivot. They ask why, before the body was found, before any evidence had surfaced, before anyone had confirmed a crime had even been committed. She walked up to Sergeant Rodriguez and told him to put her son in handcuffs. Cassie's answer is that it was instinct, that Isaiah's behavior that day didn't match everyone else's, that a mother knows. I just felt it. Detectives don't push hard. they let it sit. Whether they believe her is another question, but by the end of the interview, the lead detective tells her directly that he thinks she handled things as well as any parent could. Cassie's family does not agree. Chrissy and Floyd have already made their position clear. So has Kim. The accusation that Cassie knew what her son had done, not as a gut feeling but as actual knowledge, will follow her long after this case closes. But for now, with no physical evidence connecting her to the crime scene, detectives are left without enough to act on it. 1 week after the murder, the autopsy results come back. Richard Andrews died from a single knife wound to the neck. The cut was deep enough to cause rapid, fatal blood loss. He also had blunt force trauma to the head and bruising around both eyes, which means whatever happened in that house didn't end quickly or cleanly. His body was then moved, dragged out, transported, wrapped in the tarp, and buried in the ground at his own shop. The coroner's findings confirm what the scene already suggested. This was not impulsive in the way a person losing control is impulsive. Something happened in that house. Richard ended up on the floor, and then decisions were made. Decisions about what to do next. For investigators, the autopsy answers how Richard died. It doesn't settle the question of who made those decisions afterward, and whether anyone made them together. 2 months pass. The forensic results trickle in. The case builds slowly. Isaiah has been in the Grant County Jail the entire time, refusing to cooperate, waiting for something to shift in his favor. It doesn't. Then detectives get a call from the jail. One of Isaiah's fellow inmates wants to talk. The inmate is brought in, and detectives are careful about how much weight they put on what he says. Jailhouse informants have their own motivations, and everyone in that room knows it. But what he describes is specific enough to stop the conversation. He says Isaiah told him what happened, that before he killed his grandfather, he asked him a question. "Do you believe in God?" Richard said he did, and then Isaiah killed him. The inmate says Isaiah's explanation for why he did it was that his grandfather had been abusing him since he was a child. Detectives cross-reference what they can. The detail about the throat aligns with the autopsy. The rest, the motive, the question before the killing, cannot be independently verified. The inmate could be telling the truth. He could be shaping a story he heard secondhand into something more useful to him. But 2 weeks later, the question of what happened in that house becomes less relevant to the legal case because Isaiah Thomas makes a decision that closes it. He pleads guilty. Love to the Richard Andrews case finale, second-degree murder. Unlawful disposal of human remains. Isaiah Thomas entered those pleas in Grant County Superior Court in early February 2025. No trial, no drawn-out testimony, no courtroom moment where the family finally got to say everything they'd been holding since November. Just a guilty plea, a sentencing date, and 15 more weeks of waiting. On March 10th, 2025, Isaiah was sentenced to a maximum of 20 years in prison. The judge also ordered mandatory mental health treatment and issued no-contact orders covering several family members who had cooperated with the investigation. 20 years. For a 75-year-old man buried in the yard of his own shop. The case closes neatly on paper. In practice, almost nothing about it feels neat. Law enforcement concluded this was a solo actor homicide. No charges were filed against Cassie. No charges were filed against anyone else. The question of whether Isaiah had help, not in the killing, but in what came after, was investigated and officially set aside. Detectives found no evidence sufficient to charge her. Floyd's argument that the cleanup was too organized for someone in Isaiah's mental state was considered and ultimately did not move the needle. Whether that conclusion is right is something this family will argue about for the rest of their lives. The alleged prior homicide, the one whispered about on the night Richard's body was found, the suggestion that this wasn't Isaiah's first, was also investigated. Police found no evidence connecting him to any unsolved cases. That thread was cut. So the official record is this. Isaiah Thomas, acting alone, killed his grandfather Richard Andrews, concealed the body, and pleaded guilty 16 months later. Case closed. What the official record doesn't capture is the texture of what this family lost, and how long the warning signs were visible before anyone could stop what was coming. A year before the murder, Isaiah's football career was over. The structure that had defined his entire life since the age of 5, the schedule, the team, the identity, was gone. What replaced it was isolation, marijuana, and a mental state that deteriorated steadily in front of the people who loved him. They saw it. They talked about it. They called police on him. They confronted him with knives on the table and fear in the room. And then they hoped the next week would be different. A week before the murder, officers responded to a call about Isaiah at his aunt's house. They found him in tears, barely holding together, with a knife within reach. They detained him, spoke with him, asked if he wanted to go to the hospital. He said no. They let him go. There is no single moment in this case where you can point and say, that's where intervention would have changed everything. But there are several moments where it might have, and that's the part that lingers, not just for this family, but for anyone watching. Richard Andrews spent the last weeks of his life in a house with a grandson who was visibly unraveling. He opened his door to someone who needed help, because that's what you do for family. He didn't make it out. His daughters lost their father, and in the aftermath, largely lost each other, divided by suspicion, grief, and accusations that no verdict can fully resolve. His son-in-law Greg watched police examine his own tarp as potential evidence and had to live with the way that looked. Anthony asked himself in a recorded interview what he did wrong as a father, a question no sentencing document answers. And Cassie, whatever she knew, whatever she suspected, whatever she did or didn't do in the hours after her father was killed, she will spend the rest of her life as the woman who told police to arrest her son before his grandfather's body was found. Her family has not forgiven her for whatever they believe that means. Possibly they never will. Isaiah Thomas is in prison, 20 years maximum, with credit for time served since November 2024 and the possibility of parole depending on what that mental health treatment looks like and how those years unfold. He was 27 when he killed Richard Andrews. He'll be in his 40s at the earliest when he walks out. What he asked his grandfather before he killed him, if that detail from the jailhouse account is true, is the kind of thing that doesn't have a clean place to put. A 75-year-old man in his own home being asked if he believes in God by the grandson he took in. The answer was yes. And then it was over. Richard Andrews deserved better than the way his life ended. He deserved better than a shallow grave 40 feet from his own front door and a family falling apart over his body before the police could even secure the scene. He was 75 years old. He opened his door to someone who needed help. That's the part that should stay with you. Fair use. Notice, this video is for educational and commentary purposes only. All footage and images used fall under fair use guidelines as protected under Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act. If you enjoy true crime content, make sure to subscribe to Love to Death channel for more shocking cases, in-depth investigations, and updates on stories like this one. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload.